It's my pleasure now to introduce Vivek Rawal, founder, member, and director at People in Center Consulting India, who will give keynote address. I also note that, of course, we are now all very familiar with the technology of these meetings, but there is a section for Q&A. While you listen to the keynote address and also the panelists, please feel free to put in your question in the chat so that we can answer as we go, and we'll also have a way of answering them live later on in the program. With this, back to you, Vivek.
Thank you, Amrita. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes,
Can
it
you
is.
just confirm? Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Vivek Rawal from People in Center India. My sincere thanks, first of all, to the organizers, UNDRR, UN Habitat, UNOPS, and other institutions that are involved in organizing this for having me here. It is a privilege for me to have this opportunity to speak to you all. The topic of my presentation today is disaster preparedness and response, implications for effective recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. I am looking at this topic from the perspective of housing technology and innovation. Based on my experiences, I wish to put forth before you a few provocations for collective reflection. We know that the disasters cause massive damage to housing, but it is not just the physical structures that are lost. Disasters also make people lose their confidence in their own building practices. For centuries, the materials, the artisanal knowledge, skills that had helped people in building their houses are no more trustworthy for them. People are not sure whether they can build good, safe houses or not. So when community is in such a state of self-doubt, most of the times external experts often arrive with designs and technologies claiming to make their houses safer. And in my experience, this weakens people's own agency and confidence. Indeed, if we rebuild people's own confidence in their own materials, their own skills, their own knowledge systems, in their own delivery systems through which they have always accessed design, technology, material, and skills, they can rebuild their own houses again. Once Afghan people in Khost and Paktika province, after the 2022 earthquake hit them, they got their confidence back and they rebuilt their hazard resilient houses with adobe, the same material with which they used to build earlier, but in a more resilient way. Similarly, people of Gujarat in India also realized their own material could give them safer houses. They built their own bhungas, the circular houses. My next provocation is technology is patriarchal if it ignores the indigenous practices. Some technologies arise from patriarchal mindset, I mean hierarchical, which believe vernacular materials are inferior, but modern industrial materials are superior. However, this biased prioritization of high-tech modern solutions over grassroots ingenuity can deepen inequalities, can cause exclusion. Not all people can afford to build with these so-called modern technologies. Only a few with lot of resources can do so, which can leave many people behind. This discussion on modern versus vernacular is very important. So while approach to technology must respect and include indigenous knowledge, it must be done with the understanding that the vernacular practices are not flawless. It will be naive to believe that they are perfect. There are some inherent structural weaknesses in the materials. Also, people want something that needs less maintenance. They want houses that will allow them to use modern methods of cooking, sanitation, etc. Also, many a time, vernacular has imposed undesirable social hierarchies such as caste based labor. So, treating traditions as a static stifles its adaptation. In fact, it actually hinges on an honest reckoning that how do we honor their strength without ignoring their fragility, their weaknesses. Vernacular practices that evolved for hundreds of years have been kind of frozen for a long time now, and research has been focused on new technologies. There is need to take the vernacular practices forward. Improvements in construction, for example, with bamboo and earth, have led to resilient houses in many parts of India, Indonesia, Nepal. There are so many examples. Using modern science with indigenous knowledge to ensure that they become compliant with the building codes is actually empowering for people. So, we should hybridize, not just over romanticize the vernacular. Combining modern and traditional materials has resulted in resilient houses. Bamboo has been used with steel joineries. Lime and cement have been used for stabilization of earthen walls. The picture that you see here shows bamboo houses with cement plaster from flood affected regions of India. So, this hybrid approach respects local materials while enabling resilient construction. Empowering people to blend old and new is not only practical but also beautiful. My next provocation is that whose knowledge counts? Is it the expert consultants in the office or the community living on the ground? Very often, reconstruction becomes a top down process where external experts define the technical solutions for communities to comply. But resilience cannot be achieved by outsourcing, it must be co created. In Gujarat, after the earthquake in 2001, community design studios enabled households and artisans to collaborate with architects and engineers for charting their own course for their own recovery. These community design studios were the hubs of blending local wisdom with technical rigor. Similarly, the work of ODRC and Community Architects Network in many countries of Asia has shown when communities own their own design process, they innovate settlements in a way no consultants could ever foresee. So there is need to shift from doing for to doing with and replace the prescriptive blueprints with co-creation. Another critical lesson is that resilient housing is not modular, it is mutable. External agencies very often push standardized one size fits all houses with misplaced notion of efficiency and equality and ignore the cultural practices, family structures, local climate and community ownership. And because it is easier to brand such model designs for their own visibility, people have time and again rejected such settlements. When people build on their own, their houses are different. These houses have identities. They can be modified and added to horizontally or vertically as needs change. Affordability improves, family grows. With examples from Nepal, Afghanistan, India, wherever communities have built their own houses, they do it incrementally, starting with a small house and expanding over time, allowing them to adapt to changing needs and hazards. So, resilience lies in this mutability, the freedom and flexibility to grow and to evolve. Donor driven standards can actually undermine the community agency. People's self built houses are often labeled substandard, and model designs and standards are imposed. These so called design standards of the external stakeholders are essentially the reputation insurance. These are imposed to sanitize the messy complexity that the owner-driven processes involve and to convert it into more photogenic success stories. Instead, what we need is to develop guidelines with the communities, not expect their passive compliance. The co-creation of technical guidelines allows house owners and artisans to contribute their knowledge to modern scientific information and then incorporate that into their practice. People are knowledge holders, not just the passive receiver of other ideas. My next point is that retrofitting of uh, uh, is critical. It is not about perfection.
Mr.
Uh,
Vivek,
sure.
thank you.
Thank you. So replacing every old house with a new one is neither feasible nor desirable. Vernacular homes like stone masonry houses in Himalayas or earthen houses of Afghanistan can be retrofitted to withstand hazards. And even many partially damaged houses can be repaired after the disaster. So this is a picture from Nepal. Yet retrofitting solutions struggle for attention. The question is it the lack of code compliance or risk of reputation? We must shift from this binary label of safe or unsafe to incremental strengthening. Finally, I would like to end this with a reminder that resilient recovery is not a neutral technical goal, but a socio-political agenda. Every decision, whether to use bamboo or to use concrete, to displace or to rebuild at the same place, shapes power dynamics. And in this dynamics, technology and innovation must be on the side of the community as a tool of empowerment, not as a tool of marginalization. Thank you very much for your patience and attention. I hope I have not taken time beyond what was allotted to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vivek. Was a very, very inspiring presentation. Also putting in perspective the technology and how we get there, the incremental aspect of it, the people-centered perspective, and also the fact that choices come together with political weight and shifting of power balance, and the power need to be placed where it needs to be. That was very helpful and very useful to frame. Sometimes the technology discussion tend to go different ways, but to put back the heart in this topic.